Okay, moving on in the conference today, we've got a progress report. Several years ago, I really felt like we needed to do some better airstrip survey stuff. And, it was, as I was pushing on it, I realized it was a little too soon. And now it looks like maybe we're getting the technology coming. So we're going to share some stuff. I went down and worked with iTech and also Messiah University. And we're just going to show a couple of videos here. One, talking about what we're doing. And then they also made, when I was down there, a podcast that we talked about this. And we're just going to go ahead and show that. And I think that'll pretty much explain everything. If there is some questions, you can stick those in there and I'll try and answer those at the end. So let's go ahead and show the video.
At iTech, we are passionate about partnering with like-minded individuals and organizations to solve complex problems. When Glenn Ferguson from Mission Safety International and the International Association of Missionary Aviation reached out to us, we were very interested in assisting in the challenge he brought to us.
Really what we're looking at is having accurate airstrip information, up-to-date accurate information. Many times in these remote areas, tropical areas in particular, the trees grow up at a fairly rapid rate, and the pilots find themselves extending and extending farther and farther down the runway as they're landing, and it's sneaking up on them. And when I've gone out to do safety consultations, working with Mission Safety International, we asked about the airstrip charts, and well, yeah, we've got them. They haven't been updated for 5 years, and so the information is not current. And you really need that information so you know what your approach angles are, what your obstacles are. It helps remind you of surface undulations and hazards and side clearances. And so it really makes it a safer issue if we can have that current, accurate airstrip information as we make our approach. Pilots are always very confident, many times overconfident. Yeah, we know how to do this all the time. And when we get caught is when we have too much confidence and things have changed and we don't realize the change. And just looking at that and having that updated information within the last 6 months really helps you to be current and know what you're facing when you go in. The use of UAVs and surveying airstrips I've been interested in for a number of years, but it just didn't seem like the technology was quite there yet. And bringing the subject back up again, talking with the iTech guys and what they're seeing out there really made me optimistic that, hey, our technology is to the point now where this is a reasonable, practical tool.
When Glenn reached out to us, we saw the great need. By researching commercially available aerial videography drones, we discovered a software that could potentially be a solution for remote airstrip mapping. When existing commercially available technologies already existed to solve complex problems like this, it is tremendously exciting. However, there is a great need to learn the technology and test it to make sure it will solve the problem. That's where a partnership with the engineering department at Messiah University took the challenge. A group of students looking for a senior design project with real-world application took the project to the next level.
So the Collaboratory is a center within the university, and what it does is it works closely with the engineering department to define real-world engineering problems that then our students work on to try to solve. For us here at Messiah University, we collaborate. We look at our collaboration as the partner that we're working with. In this case, it's iTech and IAMA, but also the end goal of who's the end user or the community that's going to benefit from the project that we're working on.
My excitement for this project is a little bit twofold. We have a project fair at the beginning of the year. You kind of go look at different projects, and obviously I saw a drone and that was very exciting. So I wanted to find out about flying drones. But then when I learned more about the project and how we're helping mission aviators and the real world applications of this project, I got even more excited because I actually grew up as a missionary kid overseas.
So it's pretty amazing to think that a $1,000 drone system with a camera and with some software, drone deploy is what we're using, can actually generate a 3D model of an airstrip. We're trying to use systems that are already available to the public. So we have a commercially bought drone and a commercially bought software, and we're trying to combine these and create a system that allows mission aviators to gain more information about remote airstrips that they might be flying into. We use a drone, and this program flies the drone automatically, and it takes a whole bunch of pictures, and then it generates a map and a 3D model of that airstrip, which then the mission aviators can look at and gather information about these remote airstrips, and it gives them a better understanding of what they're flying into. And this will hopefully increase safety and just make it easier for them to land at these remote airstrips. In terms of ease, we're talking about, I think anyone with basic computer skills would be able to do this, and the actual flight time would be about 30 to 60 minutes to actually fly the drone around the runway, around the airport, and get the pictures that are needed. The potential for real-world applications there's kind of a twofold approach. There's the short-term goal, which is basically just getting better documentation of these remote airstrips. Some of them don't have any documentation of it at all. Some of them, it's very rudimentary kind of drawings on paper, not a lot of information there. So our main goal is just to get information to these pilots, create safer landing conditions for them, make them feel more comfortable flying into these remote airstrips. And then there's the long-term potential, which is the idea that you can fly the same flight plan year after year and gather long-term data over kind of foliage growth, tree growth, see potential hazards in the future that you can prepare for.
The Falcon UAV project, the students in at Messiah University have taken that on as a project to make real-life application, do something for real. And they have done a super job working through all the details. And, you know, as mission aviators, we don't have time, or most of us don't have the expertise to go look at all that stuff. They are providing it for us in a format that's going to be usable and practical. And I just can't say enough about how great these guys have been to work with and applying the technology to the real world here.
At iTech, we have a desire to partner with and come alongside those experiencing transportation challenges in the field. While we were excited to participate in this project, ultimately, we were even more excited to do so through partnership. The desire to increase the margin of safety for mission aviators paved the way for a cross-functional team from 3 organizations to work together on a solution to save lives. The results? God was glorified, and we now have tested a tool that can be used in the field with very simple training. At iTech, our desire is to inspire Great Commission participation, opening doors to the gospel. If you are interested in learning more about the Airstrip Mapping tool, or if you are experiencing other mission transportation challenges, whether they involve land, air, or sea, feel free to contact us.
Welcome to Mission Minded, the podcast where we explore outside-the-box thinking in carrying out Christ's Great Commission. On this week's episode, we are discussing increasing the safety of missionary pilots. Joining us in this conversation is Glenn Ferguson, CEO of the International Association of Missionary Aviation, Derek Plant, the Engineering Projects Manager at Messiah University, and Jeff McClary, Student Projects Manager at the Messiah University Collaboratory. Our sponsor for today's podcast is Dignity Roasters Coffee, locally roasted and packaged by the distressed to fuel each day. Dignity Roasters was born through a passion to partner with the distressed and the desire of bringing the universally loved beverage of coffee to your hands. To order your own coffee or to learn more about Dignity Roasters, visit their website at dignityroasters.com. Now here's your host, Jim Tingler.
Hi, and welcome back to the Mission Minded Podcast. I'm Jim Tingler. I'm going to be your host today in a special format. We've actually got two people joining via Zoom and Glenn Ferguson joining us here in the studio. So, hey guys, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. I'm glad to be here.
So what we'll do is we'll go around, allow you guys to introduce yourself. And to start out, Glenn, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you're involved in?
Okay, I'm Glenn Ferguson. I've been a missionary in aviation for 35 years, originally with JARS as a pilot for them, flew 10 years in the Amazon jungle, in and out of some of the remote jungle airstrips, just like we're working on this project. And in recent years, I've become the CEO of the International Association of Missionary Aviation. Big, long title, but we just refer to it as IAMA. Yeah. Just use that. So from now on, we're just IAMA.
Right.
So glad to be here.
Good. Glad to have you. And Derek, I'll allow you to just give a little update on who you are and the work you're involved in.
Yeah. So my name is Derek Plant. I work at Messiah University. We used to be Messiah College, but now we're a university. I'm the engineering projects manager here. I've been here for about 5 years, and I'm an electrical engineer by training, but have a heart for missions and educating students. So I help oversee different engineering projects that we run, and I work with students such as Jeff here.
Great, thanks. And Jeff, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Jeff McClary. I'm a senior mechanical engineer at Messiah University, and I'm the student project manager for the Falcon UAV team at the Collaboratory, where Derek is the project manager for our team.
Great. Thanks for joining us, guys. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a project that was brought to iTech and Messiah University helped us out on. And so that's something that we've been trying to really grow in, is working together with organizations and trying to find ways that we could work together rather than, us being the ones coming up with a solution. So Glenn, would you share a little bit about the challenge that you brought to iTech?
Okay. Let me just start by saying the vision of IAMA is to see the mission organizations collaborating, working together, sharing information, expertise, and resources. It's a big project, and we need to have that cooperation and work together. Yeah. And over the years, I've seen a need. I also work with Mission Safety International. I've done safety audits in remote parts of the world. One of the issues we see is keeping airstrip charts updated. So as the pilot pulls out his airstrip chart as he's going into a remote jungle airstrip, he can read the elevation, the length, the width, any special issues. When was the last time you updated your chart? We'll ask the pilot, and he'll look and go, 5 years ago. In the Amazon or tropics, how fast do trees grow? 10 feet a year? I mean, it's no longer valid. And they realize that they're landing 100, 200, 300 feet farther down the runway. And why? Because they haven't cleared the approaches, because it gradually snuck up on them and they hadn't taken time to properly evaluate where they were at. So it's a safety issue. There's been numerous accidents of aircraft on runways. And so there's hazards. And so we want to eliminate as much as possible, or mitigate, however you want to use that term, to make things safer for the mission pilots. And as the drone technology, UAV, UAS, however you want to refer to it, has developed, we see great application for being able to use that and electronically, digitally do these surveys. And I can talk more about how the pilot will use this in a little bit.
Yeah. So Derek has been one who has reached out to iTech through many platforms over the years, has come down to visit iTech, and has said, if there are projects that come up that our team could be involved in, please let us know. And this seemed like it would be a great fit.
Yes.
And so Derek, would you mind sharing a little bit about Messiah University and their vision to work and support projects like this, and maybe a little bit about what you guys did with the project?
Sure. I'll be glad to. So so the Collaboratory, it's kind of a funky name, something we came up with about 15 years ago. And so it's the joining of the word collaboration and laboratory. It's a center within the university. We work closely with the engineering department, and me as an engineering projects manager, I help bring in new projects. We do electrical, biomedical, mechanical, civil, environmental. And we in the laboratory sense, we're engineers. We love to work on problems and work with test equipment and build things and prototype. But the collaboration part of it is really key for us, is that we look for partners that are missions minded, faith-based minded, and we look for them to bring kind of the need or the engineering problem that they need to have solved to us. And often they also bring the relationship with the community, that could be anywhere in the world, the missionaries or the end user of whatever project it is. So we partner then with these like-minded faith-based organizations like ITech, like IAMA, that bring us the engineering problem to solve. So I had met Troy Townsend and Jim Tingler a few years ago, and kept in contact with them, and actually made a trip down to ITech to discuss what potential projects could they see us working together on. And they brought up this problem of the runways not being safe, and the airstrips or airport diagrams not being updated. And is it possible that drones, are we at a place with drones that they could be a useful tool in actually being able to map these runways and determine whether they're safe to land on and take off. And I'll let Jeff add in anything here.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. If you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit about how those actually can be a solution in some of the projects that y'all did in order to determine the accuracy and the ability of using UAVs to map out airstrips.
Yeah, sure thing. At first, we kind of broke our project into two separate parts. It was like research and development and then testing. So the first half was kind of picking the drone, looking at what's available at different price ranges, seeing what would be kind of the best fit for this project. Because obviously you don't want to be spending tens of thousands of dollars on a drone and then find out it doesn't actually work for what you want. So the first half was kind of finding that middle ground. Once we found a drone and drone mapping software that we thought would work, then we began testing it. So we would lay out small objects in a big open field and then make maps of that, see if it could detect those small objects. And then we did bigger objects. We tested trees. There were a few cars kind of thrown in there as well, just for fun. So we tested a whole range of different objects and different terrain to see what exactly this system that we were coming up with could map and how accurately it could map.
Yeah, one of the cool parts of this is just hobby level UAV. This isn't, some super fancy drone that you go and buy, offline, have to have special training. I mean, this is using a DJI quadcopter that you can go to Best Buy or wherever else and get this.
Right.
But help us understand, okay, what is it, just adding a software? I mean, what do we do from there?
Yeah, so the very brief overview of the project is just a commercially bought drone and a commercially bought mapping software. And when you plan we call it a flight plan with the software, it tells the drone where to fly, and then you literally just go out to your mapping location and press start, and the drone does all the work for you. It takes off by itself, and it flies over whatever area you're trying to map in a grid pattern, so just back and forth. And it simply takes a whole bunch of pictures. And then those pictures combined with the different sensor data that are built into the drone then get uploaded back into that software, and then it generates a map for you. So it's a very easy process. All the hard work is done for you. And it's just a very easy way to get this high resolution image and even a 3D model of the area you're mapping. So It's a very user-friendly process that gets you a lot of very good data.
The process is known as photogrammetry, which has actually been around for like 100 years. Being able to take, camera shots at different angles, and then actually, do some trigonometry and be able to generate a 3D model. So with the advancements in drones, computing power, and cameras, this has enabled now, us to generate a high resolution 3D model map of these areas.
So, Jeff, when you think about hobbyist level quadcopters, something you'd buy off the shelf, I mean, what kind of accuracy levels does this provide?
Yeah. So obviously, because it's a hobbyist level, it's not going to be perfect. But with that being said, it's still very accurate as to what we've deemed to be important, which is determining trees. So we found that the larger the object, the more accurate it is. So with trees, we got results that were about 10% in either direction. So it's not a big difference. So there's very little error. And then as you kind of get down to smaller objects, obviously it's a little bit harder to tell because grass can interfere with objects and there's more error there. But we found that no matter the size of the object, you're always able to see it on your map. The specific height of maybe a cardboard box or some small object that we've tossed in a field, that height might not be quite as accurate for those smaller objects, but you can definitely see it's there. We've never not been able to find something.
When you say plus or minus, let's just say, I know you guys tested a backpack in the field, right? That was one of the things that you did. I mean, we're not talking plus or minus a foot. We're talking plus or minus inches.
Yeah. So for small objects like that, it would say it was like 2 foot object. It might say it was like a foot or a foot and a half. So it wasn't saying that nothing's there or it's like a 6 foot, pillar or something. So it's still relatively close. But the smaller the object, that little bit of error has a bit of a bigger impact.
Yeah, Jeff, some of the data you showed me showed undulations and surface imperfections on the runway surface itself. And that is quite valuable data.
Yeah. So for the land itself, it's a much wider area, so it's easier to see those little imperfections. It's like the camera picking up a small object, say like a backpack, in multiple pictures is less accurate because it's a smaller object, but like a big open field or say a runway is a much larger object, so it can pick up those ground changes in elevation much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And Glenn, do you feel like this would be a beneficial tool to be used in mission aviation?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I've been watching this project, wanting to do this for a number of years. And I feel like the technology is finally here to make it simple so that we can do it. But if we make it easier for those pilots and those flight programs to do this, they're much more likely to do it. I envision the pilot going out there, and releasing this little drone and getting it to do its thing.
Right.
And then he takes it back and gets all the data plugged back into the computer. But the benefit to him then will be most of our pilots now are using what we call electronic flight bag. They're using their iPad.
Okay.
Or back in my day, we used paper charts. Right. Now it's all going to be right there. It's easily shareable with all the other pilots. And as you're en route, you pull it up and there's the information and it's current. Hopefully it'll have a flasher that goes, you're 6 months out of date, and he will resurvey so that we keep this data current. That's the key, is keeping current data. And that's what we're pushing for.
This tool was out there. You could have found it. What Messiah and the team there did was they tested everything that was out on the market. They went through, okay, what are the actual capabilities and could this work for what Glenn is seeing the use for? And so that time and investment was huge because as technology comes out, it can be overwhelming. There are a lot of different directions, Glenn could have gone, but to have something that has gone through the testing that, Messiah has done is extremely beneficial and helpful.
Yeah. And I'll just say that our expertise in that area is very, very low. We're focused on other things. We come to you guys that do this. You're the experts on it. and we can partner and work together on it.
That's exactly what we like to hear, Glenn. I mean, we as the collaboratory, we're looking to kind of come alongside you and define that problem, something that you maybe don't have the time to tackle or work on, and to offload that from you guys, and to partner with you and to solve that problem. On the drone side, it's been really a joy to work with. We have 4 students on the project. In the fall, we did a lot of testing, a lot of flying to figure out, what size objects can it detect. How we found that it can detect trees and it can actually tell you the height of those trees within 10% plus or minus 10% accuracy. And we really, from a feasibility standpoint, we kind of set out to conduct a feasibility study. Is this feasible technology to actually do what IAMA and Glenn would like to see? And I think we've shown that it really is a capable system. It's not perfect, but it's a capable system that's easy to use. We think that what did the time that it would take to actually go out and fly a mission with a drone, you're talking about up close to an hour of total time to be on the ground. So now a pilot with a kind of another person could fly around to different airports and actually conduct these flights and then do the post processing coming back to the missions base or wherever, and actually be able to now provide updated airport diagrams, airstrip, and I think it's tremendous. I really do think that it might be where the technology is at, and it's ready to actually solve this problem and make pilots and operations safer.
It's really just another tool in the toolbox to be able to help the people involved in mission aviation and just really mission transportation as a whole. I'm curious, Jeff, what did this do as far as your student experience to work just with a team that is trying to solve real world application for the mission field?
Yeah, I think this really added to my school experience a lot. The collaboratory is actually the reason I chose to come to Messiah University, because all the schools I looked at didn't really have something like that. Most schools have some sort of senior project where you do something, but it's like for the school. Whereas the collaboratory is we're working and solving real world problems that actually help people while still getting that education and perfecting our skills. So it's the best of both worlds, really. And the fact that I got to work on a project that directly helps with the missions field is also really cool, as I grew up as a missionary kid overseas. So it's kind of like I'm coming full circle and I'm kind of going back into that life where I've been in the US for time now that I've been overseas. So like I'm kind of one of the more typical American normal kids out of the family because I've been here longer. So it's kind of cool to get a bigger picture of what like my older siblings and my parents experienced.
That's great.
Really cool for me.
That's great. And we appreciate the time you guys have invested in just trying to help, again, solve some of these challenges that are out there. So, well, I think
let me just make one more comment here about what we're doing. We're using technology. And if you've heard me in years past, you will hear me say, our work is not about airplanes. It's not about aviation.
Right.
It's not about the technology. It's not about UAVs.
Right.
But they are the tools we have to promote sharing the gospel effectively, getting our missionaries out there more safely so that they're more effective in sharing the gospel. That's what it's all about. It's not about the technology. It's about Jesus Christ and making him known.
Yeah, it's not about the tool.
Amen, Glenn.
Yeah.
I was going to add there that, I read biographies on Nate Saint, and Jim Elliott. And I remember reading about Nate Saint and how, in the 40s when he started flying in Ecuador, he was able to transport people, missionaries or other people, in a 30-minute flight, he could bring those people, to a destination where that would have taken a 2 or 3 day trip in the jungle. And that's what aviation, as you said, a tool, but it's really been a huge, blessing to Christianity and evangelists and missionaries to be able to go to these destinations that were, otherwise hard to reach and difficult to get to, and to think that it's only been 100 years that planes have really been around for, and it's great.
Absolutely. And as this technology progresses, we're going to need, the collaboratory people like yourself and those that can come along and say, all right, how can we use this tool? Is this a worthwhile tool to put in our toolbox? And so that's where you guys really have come along and support the work that IAMA, Mission Safety International, again, trying to be concerned. We want the tools to be effective, but we also need them to be safe. And so there's that balance. And so we really appreciate the hard work you guys have put in.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, well, great.
Well, it's been great to partner with you guys. And, we wouldn't have exist. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if we couldn't partner with like-minded organizations. And so it's been great. ITech and Glenn have supported our project, and we've had many meetings and different, times where we've reviewed what we're working on, and it's just been a great collaboration to work together and to kind of, just see how God can use our gifts in different ways. Us as engineers, and Glenn is a pilot, Jim is a great communicator, and try to use God uses all of us to solve these problems and ultimately, make his name and the name of Jesus known throughout the earth.
Amen. And Derek, would you say that you guys are looking for more projects now? You guys are anybody that might be listening and, have this idea, hey, it would be great if we had a group of students at that university that could process through this challenge for us. Or you guys are open for that?
Yeah. Thanks for the plug, Jim. I'm as part of my role is to look for new projects, and we love to partner with, and we do mechanical projects. We're designing a wheelchair for a hospital in Nepal. We've designed foot bridges. We don't do car bridges, but we do foot bridges. So, and we have done those in Nicaragua, Panama, Mexico. We've done water projects. We've worked on customer unique water problems throughout the world. How do we filter that water and provide clean water? Feel free to reach out to me if you know of a specific problem and think we could partner together.
How would somebody get a hold of you, Derek?
They could email me at dplante@messiah.edu. So DPLANTE@messiah.edu.
Okay. The E is important. The E is silent.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great. And again, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit about the work that you guys have done. And Jeff, best of luck. You're a senior, right?
Correct. Yep. So I'm finishing up my last semester here.
Okay. You have the work lined up. Do we need to throw a plug for a job for Jeff?
Well, I have a few irons in the fire, but nothing.
Okay.
So, I'm always open,
Okay. How would somebody get a hold of Jeff?
Well, my email is not quite as exciting as Derek's, but it's gm1234@messiah.edu. So mine's easier to remember.
Nice. Right. Okay. Good stuff. And Glenn, I know IAMA is something that if you're involved in mission aviation, most would know about it. But for those who maybe just are interested in that world, would IAMA be something that they could join and start to network with people in the mission aviation world?
Absolutely. Go on the website, iamanet.org, IAMANET, iamanet.org.
Great.
And you can find more information, contact info, list of all the organizations that are currently IAMA members. Yeah. And a little information about each one. Feel free to contact me at any time. Happy to talk with you.
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys for joining us today on this podcast, and appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Mission Minded Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Mission Minded. For more information on today's topic and show notes, please visit our website, itechusa.org. Mission Minded Podcast is produced by iTech. The goal of this podcast is to inspire conversations about Great Commission participation. The views, organizations, and individuals represented, interviewed, and discussed on the podcast do not necessarily represent an official position or formal partnerships with iTech.
Okay, well, that gives you an idea. It was a little bit long there, but I wanted to include that second one to show more of the details about how this project is going. Not quite completed yet, but we are hoping to launch this pretty soon and be able to roll that out and make it available to you. And it will be made available right through IAMA. And we want to give you a turnkey tool. We're not going, oh, here's some information you can use. We want to give you the complete package so that it's easy for you guys to use. Maybe it wasn't clear how the thing would actually work, but the pilot would carry that out to the airstrip with him, turn it loose, it'll do its thing, and then he takes it back, plugs it into the computer, and can generate the diagrams that are needed there. So, Steve, do we have any questions that have come in?
Yeah, indeed we do. So several comments. Wondering about how the data is going to be processed. So it's an hour using the drone on site to gather the information and do the mapping. But how long does it take to actually process the data? And then what shape does the data end up in? I mean, how can you use it? And is it an Excel spreadsheet? Is it a database thing? What's the information coming out as?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had Derek back online with us here, but I am not the computer tech. I know that it takes a while. It may take a fair amount of time for the computer to analyze all this, because it's literally taking thousands of pictures, and it's got to work through all that and blend it together to get the diagrams built. So, as far as what it looks like, spreadsheet, that's beyond my understanding. I'm sorry.
Okay, so yeah, folks were wondering if it's going to be sort of a one-size-fits-all type of product, or whether they can import it into their own pre-existing Airstrip chart software. So it's sort of some of those questions that they have along with that. In the chat box, there's been some conversations going along like termite hills. It starts off in just a few inches, but man, those things can get rock hard in a hurry, or in the wet season then get, produce a soft spot. So I know we're talking about being able to detect something as small as a 6-inch termite hill as it's starting to grow.
Yeah, I think 6 inches would be very much within the capabilities there. We're just going to have to get this out there and used some, so that we can really refine it and go, yeah, this is what we're doing. We can use it.
Okay, are you aware of other organizations that have used or experimented with drone mapping? I mean, is this unique, or are there other players out there doing something similar?
Yeah, I've heard some talk that MAF has been doing some stuff, but wasn't able to come up with what is actually going on there. I'm sure this will generate some interest, and we'll start getting more collaboration and working together, which is what we want to do. We want to come up with the best tool.
Okay, and somebody just commenting that MAF International in PNG has actually done some work with airstrip mapping. So there's another avenue that you might be able to cooperate with and see what they've found out so far. Another question is wondering if Messiah would be providing like a training program to go along with the data and how to use it and make it more amenable to individual organizations.
Yes, that is in the plan, to come up with a complete package, complete with training information. Right now they're talking about a training video, so you can just follow along and get that, as well as the written instructions.
Okay, and is there any timeline yet on this?
No, I'm hoping within 6 months we'll be up and running, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, that's all I see at the moment. So last chance for people to throw in something on the Q&A. Okay, I think that's it, Glenn.
Okay, well, appreciate it. And, we'll keep you informed. I'll be sending out updates so that people know what's going on with this. And we'll look forward to adding another tool to our toolbox for appropriate situations. It's not, everybody's not going to want it, but in the right situation, it's going to be a very valuable tool.